So today we'll be walking through the events May 2021 event, release. If you have any questions during the webinar, please just go ahead and leave a comment, chat, or go ahead and speak. I gave you guys all talking rights. So at any time, if you have a question, just reach out. And let's get started. So as you noticed from our last webinar, we have a quick upgrade notice. Starting with the June 2021 release, we will require all customers to be no more than 3 versions behind the latest release. Also, another big update that's been impacting a number of our customers, Anders, I think you're having this issue as well. Over the last few months, we've been working our hardest to improve our caching experience for all of our users. There's a significant amount of development work and testing and cases submitted by our customers. We believe we're finally at the end of these issues. So I want to quickly walk through our new event caching. So we have some detailed documentation. So how does Blackthorn Events handle caching? First, when creating an event, the cache will be refreshed instantly. That means if an event is published or not, it will automatically be reflected on the front end. So as soon as you create that event and publish, that event should publish within 30 seconds of clicking publish. Same thing if you're updating an event. There's certain objects and fields that do an automatic cache invalidation, such as if you're changing the description or the event name or updating the image. That should automatically clear a cache invalidation and update your event in real time. But if you notice updates are not happening in real time, we have the update button on that new BT event publish component. If you click that, wait 30 seconds, your update should be reflected on that event in real time. Any questions on that before I actually show that live? Just a quick follow-up on that, please make sure you're on version 3.24. That has all of our caching updates, and with that update, you should be using the BT event publish component as well, which has 2 buttons, one for publishing and one for updating. So let's go ahead and show that live. So I'll go into Adam's test event. Let's clone this. So we'll call this clone. And for this one, I'll go ahead and uncheck publish. And then I'll show you, I can create that with publish, and that should automatically render as well. So we'll copy the event items. We'll click clone. So now my event is not published yet. So if I go to my event page URL, that event will not render yet. So let's go in and click the publish. So if you do not have this component on your layout, you want to go in and modify your page layout. So we'll click the settings and we'll click edit page. So I already have my component here, but if you don't have the component on your page layout yet, search for publish, and you see that BT events publish, you can just drag and drop that here to add that component. So in this case, we added the component. Let's go ahead and save. If you haven't created an event record page yet, you might have to activate that. In this case, this is already activated and set as our org default. So we're all set. So we'll go click back. Now we'll go ahead and click publish. So Anders has a question. Does the event status still need to be active to be published, or is that changed? Anders, correct. The event status has to be active. So now we click publish. Let's go into our event page URL. Voila, that event has rendered. You no longer have to wait. I think Anders was having an issue this morning where he was waiting 10 to 15 minutes for that event to render. That should publish within 30 seconds of publishing, clicking that publish button. Also, let's say I want to change this name and maybe add in a description or change the event settings. So let's change the event settings. And I'm going to change this name to webinar test event. And we could even change the UI if I wanted to, so I can do tabbed. So let's go ahead and click save. These updates should be reflected in real time, so I do not need to go in and click update. So we'll give it about 30 seconds. If I notice the changes aren't reflected, then I'll go in and click update, because there are certain fields that do not trigger cache invalidation. Oops. All right, so let's go ahead and refresh this. You can see that event has updated in real time. I didn't have to click update. I didn't have to wait 10, 15 minutes or even an hour. Any questions on that? Using that new component, caching issues? And I'll do one more test. So let's go ahead and clone this as published. Previously, I created the event. It was not published. Then I published. So let's go ahead and clone this. And we'll leave publish here. So my event is published. This is the cloned event. Now, if I go to that event page URL, that's created in real time. I don't have to, again, wait 15, 20 minutes, an hour. I don't have to click publish. I don't have to click update, because I created that event with publish already checked. Any questions before we move on to our next topic for the release notes? Awesome. So next, for anyone that's using a custom domain, due to our caching changes we just walked through, if you use a custom domain, you must update your remote site settings for events to receive the cache invalidation. I'll show you how to do this. So from setup, you'll go to security, remote site settings, and event domain. You'll update the domain from our events.blackthorne.io to your custom domain. So let's go into setup. And under quick find, we'll look for remote site settings. And then we'll look for domain, and we'll click in and edit. So there, that's where you would add your custom domain. Also, our documentation walks through another step. You also want to make sure that our events custom setting has your domain as well. So we'll go to custom settings. We'll look for event settings. We'll click manage. And if you have a custom platform domain, you want to add that here as well. And that will ensure our new cache invalidation feature works with your org. Any questions from the group on this? Hey, Jake, quick question on you. Since I can't see the screen, have you seen anyone else join or waiting to join? Jake, are you there?
No, I haven't.
Okay, thank you. If you just see someone join, if you can just, I think they should be able to automatically join, but I just want to make sure I wasn't missing anyone.
Okay.
Thank you. Awesome. So we have one of our new features that I'm super excited about for our new release is we have added a new permission set labeled Event Organizer. This will give that user the same permissions as the event admin, but they will no longer have access to the Blackthorn Events admin tab. So I know certain customers were running into event authorization issues where a non-admin would go in and authorize the event, or they would update certain metadata changes. The Event Organizer permission set gives them full access, edit, create, update all of our event objects, but they will not have access to that Blackthorn Events admin tab. We have some more documentation here as well. So the Blackthorn Event Organizer permission set does not have access to the Event Administrator tab. The permission set has view all, modify all, and delete records for any custom object. It also gives them access to certain Blackthorn payment features. So payment gateways, they have read access. Relationship settings, data dictionary group and entries, code and code eligibility. They'll have create, read, and update access. I know a certain amount of customers were running into issues where their users did not have that payments permission set, but now these permissions and object access are included with that event organizer permission set. Any questions on that before I show you that live? Thanks, Jake. Let me check. I don't think anyone joined, but let me just make sure. Oh, yep, we have a few more people. Hi, Katie, can you hear me? Just want to make sure you guys just joined, you can hear us.
Hi, yes. Thank you.
And did you have to join or were you automatically?
I was automatically added. Yeah, I don't
Okay,
know where
awesome.
my calendar entry went for this, but so I'm like, yeah.
Okay, yeah, no problem, no problem. Thank you. Awesome. So I'll show you the event organizer permission set live. So let's log in as one of our users that has that permission set. So we'll go to that user and we will scroll down. You'll see they have the event organizer permission set. I removed the event admin permission set. So if I log in as them, oops. Okay, so let's try to find the admin app. They no longer have access to the admin app. So they have full access to the event planner app, but they do not have access to the admin app or the admin tab. But they have full access to manage events, attendees, and all of our event custom objects. Any questions on that from the group? Awesome. So next I wanted to walk through our front end enhancements. We've updated the aspect ratio of images used on our event group for mobile and overview. So users will now notice images are displayed with an aspect ratio of 2:1. So that means the width will be 2 to 1 for the height on desktop and mobile. This will avoid trimming issues using the same image in multiple locations. Any questions on that before I show you guys this live? All right. Let's log back in as myself. We'll go back to the events admin tab. And we'll go in and open up our event. Sorry, wrong event. Sorry, I'm just trying to find my correct event. Bear with me. All right, so you'll see that image on desktop. But now let's go in and open this on mobile too. So I'll open up a separate screen. And we'll shrink this down. And you'll see that ratio remains 2:1 for width versus height. So as you go from mobile to iPad to desktop, that ratio remains 2:1. Any questions on this new enhancement? And again, for those who joined late, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat or go ahead and speak up. So next, our next backend enhancement, we kind of touched base on this with the event organizer permission set, but now the event admin and the event organizer permission sets will now have permissions to the following objects. That includes read access for the payment gateway, create, read, and update access for relationship settings, data dictionary group, data dictionary entry, code, and code eligibility. This allows for features such as clone, reoccurring events, and other functions to, other features to function properly. Previously, you might have been running into issues where certain users did not have the payments admin permission set, and now this should be addressed with our events admin or our event organizer permission set. Any questions on that? So next, I wanted to walk through a couple event wizard enhancements. First, when users make select simple UI during the look and feel step of the event wizard, they'll notice that the sessions and speaker steps are not available. We've updated the user experience because the simple UI doesn't allow for sessions or speakers. And I'll show you that live. So we'll go into our event wizard. Let's go ahead and create test event. So we'll go ahead and click simple. Once I click simple, you'll see speakers and sessions are crossed out. Because these do not function with this UI, I will not be able to build those out as part of the event wizard flow. But if I switch to tabbed or full width, you'll see those are available. Any questions on that? Next, we also support for defining default values at the field level. So for example, I have a custom field on the event called test checkbox. And if I go to the details tab, test checkbox, I have that defaulted to yes. So let's show you how to use that or how to set that up. So I'll go to Object Manager and I'll go to Events. Oops, Event. And I will look for our field set or our fields. Let's find that test checkbox. And you can see I have that default value to checked. I also added that field to our Event Builder field set. So I'll go to Field Sets. And I clicked into the Event Wizard Event Fields field set, and you'll see I have that test checkbox. So now anytime that I create an event, that test checkbox shows as part of that field set, and it also shows as default. Any questions on that? And say I no longer want to include that field on our field set. I can go ahead and remove that, click Save. And go to the details. You can see that field is now removed. So next, lookups now show recent records, limited to the 5 most recent records. So if I go back to the builder, and let's search for payment gateway. It shows the last 4 records. I don't have more than 4 payment gateways in this org. Or if I go to venue, shows my last 5 venues as well. Same thing, event settings. So any lookup field will show the last 5 recent records. Any questions from the group on that? All right. Also, our lookup search has been enhanced. instead of searching by begins with text, it will now search for any text within the name. So let's go back to the builder. Say for event settings, I want to search for setting. Pulls up any event setting that contains settings. Same thing if I want to go to venue, let's type in tester. Pulls up any of my venues that contain tester. Any questions on that or any items that we've demoed so far? Awesome. For those using reoccurring events, it's now possible to clone event keywords. Please note there is one manual step where you have to add in the event keywords dropdown or pick list value to the clone related child records pick list field on the reoccurring event. So first I'll show you how to manually add that value, and then I'll show you how this works. Let's go back to our setup, and we'll search for a reoccurring event. And we'll go to fields and relationships. And you'll see this clone related child records field. I've already gone in and manually added event keywords. So you will have to manually add this field, or the other option is on the admin tab. Click metadata updates and click update pick list. This will make sure all new pick list values are added, and that will update that field on the reoccurring event as well. So you can either manually do it or do it via the event admin tab. So now let's go in and create a reoccurring event. Let me grab my event real quick. Oops. Looks like my event got deleted, but that's okay. So grab in another event. And we'll make sure this has keywords. So in this case, it has 2 keywords. So let's go ahead and create our reoccurring event. So we'll click create reoccurring event. We'll do schedule status as generate. So once I save, it creates those reoccurring events. We'll scroll down, and on the clone related child records, we'll select event keywords. I'm going to do daily for basic scheduling, and I'll create 1 event. So this event will start tomorrow, and it will end tomorrow as well. And we'll click save. So we have a reoccurring event. It created our 1 event, and that event should have 2 keywords assigned to it. So those keywords now clone over with reoccurring events. Any questions on that? So our next enhancement is while creating a new email template on event record, the user is now able to see the event record name associated with the existing email template when using the new from template lookup. So let's show you that live. So we'll go into Adam's test event. We'll click hover over email templates. We'll click new, and we'll do new from template. Now in my dropdown, you'll see the email templates and the events that they are associated with. So we'll click out of this. So our next enhancement that we fix with this latest release is that when adding attendees via the campaign and event sync, the campaign member status fields will now correspond to the registration status on the attendee record. This means that when updating the campaign member status, the value will now sync over to the attendee registration status. And I'll show you that live. So let's find one of our campaigns. And we'll open up our event as well. And since Jake's on the call, I'll use Jake's record. He might get an email from me, but that's okay. So we have Jake, his status is invited. Now if we go to our event, let's find Jake. His status is invited as well. So let's go ahead and mark him as registered. So let's mark his campaign status registered. We already have our campaign autosync set up. Now let's refresh the attendee record. And he is now registered, and he probably got an email from me saying, thanks for registering for a Canon main test. Any questions on this? So for anyone using our campaign to event sync, anytime you create a campaign member, update the status, that'll sync over to the attendee in real time. So our last enhancement, our backend enhancement, is many fields have been deprecated from the attendee record this release. These fields will continue to be supported, but we suggest updating any flows or process builders to use these updated fields. So for instance, first name, we're now using the first name 2. So you no longer see those duplicate fields. I know customers were having issues with reporting saying, which field do I use? They have the same field label, but I'm not sure. It appears to be duplicate fields. So this has now been addressed. These duplicate fields have been deprecated. And I'll show you how this looks in the back office. So let's go to our attendee. You'll see first name deprecated, last name deprecated, phone and email. These fields have been deprecated. So what I want to do is go in and update my layout. So let's go edit object. And we'll go to my page layout. We'll go to the attendee layout. And let's add in the correct first name field. I'm going to take the deprecated field off. Same thing with last name. And then phone. And email. Let's clear the cache on this page so you can see the updated layout with the correct fields. Also, for anyone that's frustrated with Lightning when you have to switch to Classic to get fields to show up, there's a quick trick that if you go to click on your little image, display density change from comfy to compact or vice versa, that actually clears the cache for that page. So I don't have to go into Classic or I don't have to log in and out. And that page now shows updated. So now we're using the correct 4 fields: first name, last name, phone, email. And again, if you have any processes or workflows or flows using those deprecated fields, we highly recommend to update those. Any questions on these deprecated fields? Awesome. So next, I wanted to walk through some notable front-end bug fixes. One big bug fix was the back arrow to navigate to the event group will now appear when using the Ash Simple UI. Let's show you that quickly. So this is Ash Simple UI. We'll go into our event page URL. And you can see that back button has been added. So now you can navigate back to that event group. Next, text color for the text 30,000 form element will now display as black rather than gray when using the Ash Simple UI. Let me grab my test event for that really quick. So we'll go into our event. And we'll scroll down. You see our simple UI with my form questions. And this is my long text, 30,000 characters. So now when I type into that, that no longer shows gray, that shows black. Also, I won't demo this, but we fixed an issue where adding a URL to the custom CSS URL field on the event group for Aspen UI users will now notice their CSS is being injected to the event group properly. Another bug we fixed that is when embedding an event item into your website, we fixed an issue where the footer of the page would flicker. Also, for those using Google Tag Manager in Safari, Google Tag Manager now works in Safari browsers. Another update to our custom forms is when applying a form or form element to an event, if an answer is long, the text will now wrap to the next line instead of applying ellipses. This occurs with your dropdown values that may cut off on that dropdown. So let's go into our simple UI. And let's scroll down. So what sessions are you most excited for? If I scroll down, previously this would cut off and show ellipses. Now it shows the full value with text wrapped. And that was an issue mostly with the simple UI. Also, next, when an attendee registers for an event using the attendee link, there's previously no registration success message. This has now been fixed. And I can quickly show you that. So let's set my attendee to invited. And we'll go into our attendee link. So let's go and register. You'll now get that success message saying you've been registered. So next, when adding form element conditionals to a form element, previously they would appear out of order on the front end. So let's show you how that looks live now. So we'll go back to our event. We'll open up the event URL. And we'll scroll down. I have a couple conditional questions. So if they say, can we contact you regarding future events? And I say yes. Those two conditionals will show right below that field in the correct order. Previously, these questions might show up here in just random order. It wasn't in the sort order that you defined on that form. So that those conditionals, that sort order is accounted for. Next, our last front-end bug fix. When defining the category field on the event record, it would show the API name instead of the value defined in setup. So let's quickly show you this live. So on Adam's test event, the category is social networking, but the API name was social/networking. Let's go into my event. And let's look up category. So you'll see for social networking, it's social, the API name is social/networking, and that was showing on our event group previously. We've addressed that, so now show the field label. So we'll go back to our event group, and we'll click filter by. You'll see social networking instead of the API name. And I know we're moving a little quickly. We have a lot of features and bug fixes to walk through. So before I went into back-end bug fixes, are there any questions on the features or the front-end fixes that we've walked through so far? And for those that joined a little late, I think Katie, you're one of them, and I know you guys, and I think Mary Chris, you were one of them too. But for our caching, did you guys miss the piece about caching?
Yes, we did miss it.
Okay, just because I know this is a very important one and a couple of our customers are not here, I want to quickly show that again, if that works.
Thank you.
Before
Yes.
I go through our back. Okay, So I know hopefully most of our customers were on 3.23 using our new publish component. But due to a number of cases and tons of feedback from our customers, I think we're finally at a place where we've resolved that issue. So anytime you're using the component, please make sure you're on version 3.24 since we've addressed the cache invalidation issues with that release. So on this component, when publishing an event, that event should publish within 30 seconds of clicking publish. Same thing with updating. Most updates will trigger cache invalidation immediately without having to click updates, such as if you're updating the event name or the UI or the image. If you notice that event is not updating in real time, click update. I'll just quickly show you this. I know most of you guys saw this, but for those who joined a little late, let's go ahead and clone this. Call this Adam feedback clone. And for this one, we'll leave it published. So this will publish in real time. You no longer have to wait 15, 20 minutes or hours for this to publish. So we'll click clone. And let's go in and open up that event. Real-time renders, I don't have to wait hours or 15 minutes any longer. And then same thing if I want to go in and update that. So let's go in and update the name of the event. Maybe we'll change the UI. Add in a description. And we'll click save. And we'll give it 30 seconds to update. And that updates in real time. Any questions on those who missed this at the start of the webinar?
No questions, thank you.
Awesome, no problem. Okay, so let's quickly walk through our back-end bug fixes. So with the Event Wizard, we have a number of fixes that we've implemented this release. So when using the Event Wizard to create events, there were instances when the event start time or the event end time did not match the same fields on the event record that was created. We updated the logic to convert the time value and ensure it matches the user's org defined time. We've also added in a toast message to the Event Wizard if the event is unable to be cloned. And also another big one is when cloning the event using the Event Wizard, the look and feel section will now be properly cloned. So let me show you that one live because that's another big one. Let me delete this test event too. So we're going to clone this Dunder Mifflin Golf Tournament. The UI is Redwood Smart. So we'll go into our Event Wizard. And we'll clone from previous event. We'll click confirm. Actually, let's try one more. I might have to jot this down as a bug, but the full width should be checked here. And Katie, this might have been the issue that your team was running into, and I do have the bug for that.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, let's go into my simple UI event. All right. And there's the way it works with the latest release. You shouldn't have to select the box if you're cloning. It should automatically take the look and feel from the event you're cloning. So in this case, you saw it wasn't working with the full width UI, so I'm gonna have to dig into that more. But in this case, I'm cloning the simple UI, and that's automatically checked. Same thing for tabs full width. You should not have to go in and manually check that. But I will dig into why the full width is not cloning over. So next one, adding fields to the Event Wizard field set like you saw earlier, required fields will now properly respect the requirement before moving to the next page in the wizard. So let's go back to the wizard. Actually, let's go in and add to our field set. So we'll go into our field set on event setup, and we'll go to the event wizard event fields. Let's add in, let's make event group required. And we'll make event setting required. So we'll click save. And then let's refresh this page. So now let's try to proceed. I cannot proceed because I have those required fields within the field set. Now let's go and uncheck these again. So on this field set, you can add any of the out-of-box fields, any of your custom fields, make them optional or required. And these will all show up on that details tab on the wizard. So now I made those optional again. You can see now I can proceed without filling in those fields. Any questions on that? Also, another small fix is when adding sessions, the session name text will appear as black instead of red. So if I go to the wizard, we'll go to sessions. We'll add in the session. You'll see that no longer shows as red, it shows as black. We already talked about required. So when event wizard, the event wizard will now respect fields marked as required when adding a new field to the event field or the event wizard field set. Also, we fixed an issue where sales start time, sales end time, sales start date, and sales end date field set fields did not function properly within the event wizard. We also touched base on this earlier, but when users without the event admin permission set assigned click the Authorize App button on the Event Admin tab, they notice registration errors and Blackthorne logs records being created. This is because that end user did not have the right permission sets or maybe didn't have the event or payment license. To prevent the negative outcome of this action, we've restricted access to the Event Admin tab to exclude those users who do not have events admin permissions. So the only users that should see that tab are those with the admin permission, the event admin permission set. For any of your event organizers or planners that you do not want to have access to the event admin tab, please assign them that new event organizer permission set. Any questions on that? And for those who missed the demo earlier, if I log into one of my users that has that permission set, so Sneha, she has that new permission set, and if I log in as her, she no longer has access to that event admin tab. So she won't be able to go in and authorize the events app. She won't be able to update metadata or run batch jobs, anything like that. So that's now locked down. Another update that we made was, you may have noticed when deleting a form element record that a related form element condition was still appearing. We've updated our logic so when a parent form element is deleted, all of the child records will be deleted as well. Next, we've also enabled reporting on the following objects. So you can now create custom report types for form element, speaker, webinar accounts, keywords, event keywords, and so on. You will have to create those custom report types based on these objects. Next, when using the attendee registration lightning component, form and form elements will now be submitted to the attendee record properly. So for those using the component, let's go into one of my events. So we'll go in and register. We'll answer some of our form questions. It's not allowing me to go. Oh, last name. Okay, so click submit. We'll give it a second for that attendee to be registered. So we'll click in here. You'll now see the form submission and form answers are linked to that attendee record. Any questions from the group? So we touched base on this earlier, but sort ordering for form elements has been addressed. So form elements will now be arranged in the proper sort order with form element conditionals nested within the respective form element. Also, for those using multiple event groups, we fixed the caching issue that would apply the parameters between different groups. So now when you navigate from one event group that was filtered to another event group, those parameters should not persist. Additionally, for those using our webinar accounts, when using the Add to Webinar Meeting button on the attendee record, this would previously trigger a SOCL error. This has now been addressed and you should now be able to use that button on the attendee record. Another small but annoying fix that a number of our customers reported, when selecting an email template to send to your attendees via the email template builder, the email template field should have less issues selecting a template. You might have had to click this 5 times in order to get that template to actually populate. So I'll quickly show that. So let's go into our event. And we'll go into send email. So on email templates, before you might have to click this record 3, 5 times to get it to populate. Now I click once and it populates. So next, again, for those using reoccurring events, we fixed an issue where previously it was not cloning child records, so your event items, sessions, speakers, etc., when using the generate button or waiting for the nightly batch job. This has worked where now reoccurring events will generate using the related records as well. Also, for those using our attendee registration lightning component with persons accounts, there's previously an issue where using the component in registering a person account, the event item purchase record was not populating correctly on the person account record. Now, anytime you're using the component, the event item purchase record will create if it's a contact, lead, or person account. So next, campaign and event sync auto sync now works with attendees that are related to person accounts. Previously, the sync was not working and the campaign member is not being created. And 3 more bugs with our last couple minutes. So we fixed the bug when using keep one open for reoccurring event method was preventing new events from being created. This has been fixed. Another big one that a number of our customers reported was that certain process builder jobs were causing an Apex error, too many queuable jobs. This was introduced by improvements to caching and has been addressed by adding additional limits before setting up the job automatically. For several of our customers that submitted bugs for this, you no longer have to time delay your process builder. You can update those to real time and it should not trigger this error. Last but not least, when using the update pick list button on the event admin page, the time zone field will now update appropriately on the event object. And for those who missed it earlier, if you go into the event admin tab and you click metadata updates, and click update pick list, that will update those pick list values for the time zone field on the event. I know we went through a lot of enhancement and bug fixes. Are there any questions from the group with our last couple minutes?
Hey, Adam, this is Jeremy.
Yep, go ahead, Jeremy.
Hey, I put it in the Q&A, but I just want to check if there's any updates regarding that send grid issue that I submitted, where the reply emails were going to the from as opposed to the reply to.
I did not see it in the chat window. Oh, Q&A. Oh, okay,
Q&A,
I don't have that window open.
Oh, okay.
I will actually follow up with that. I see that comment now. I'll follow up on that ticket and I'll let you know.
Okay, thanks. Just curious.
Awesome, no problem, Jeremy. And then Anders, can you show the API names of UIs? I can't get the wide UI to work. Don't show up when I update pick list. Okay, Anders, 1 second. So Anders, we're migrating to use full width. So in our release notes, you'll see from our March. From our April release. Sorry if I'm moving quickly. I just want to make sure we get through this with our last couple of minutes. So when using the Redwood full UI, full width UI, if you click into that documentation, this is the drop-down value you should use. Okay, thanks, Anders. And if not, we're still using the old values, so you can still use Redwood Smart. Did that answer your question, Anders? And if you're still having issues, definitely submit a case and I'll troubleshoot that further. So Anders is also asking, is it possible to pull in information in email templates directly from the event and not from the attendee object? So Anders, based on Salesforce limitations, you can't pull in values from the parent object. So you either have to add in those field values as formula fields onto your attendee. Did that make sense? So if I have a field on the event that I want referenced in that template, I can pull in a formula field onto that attendee and then add that in the event builder. You just can't do, based on Salesforce limitations, you can't do the cross-object reference. And Anders, if you want to submit a case for that, I can provide some more detail and follow-up information, maybe help with some workarounds as well.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you. And then any other questions? Oh, sorry, someone.
If you don't have any other questions, I'll have 3 more, but we can let the other ones go ahead first. I will submit them. Yeah.
No, yeah, Anders, if you want to stay, I'm sure this will be helpful for others. So before we go through Anders' remaining questions, does anyone else have any questions? All right, thank you guys. So will there be a feature to schedule invitations? Anders, I will follow up and get you an answer for that. Next, will there be a function to add welcome emails the same way as confirmation waitlisting emails in the new email function? I believe there's a ticket for that, but I'll get you more information on that as well. And then will there be a function that records the time and emails are sent using send email template builder, or can I add that myself to the function? Can you elaborate on that, Anders?
So now I believe I'm not muted. Yeah, great. So when I send the thank you emails and to attended and to the no-show persons that have been or not been on the event, and I usually send them the same day or the day after or some other days. And I want to record the timings of when the email is sent, because when I send the email to an attended person and I send a thank you email to that person, and then I have also a video on demand functionality, so people can register days afterwards the event was live sent. And if I want to send another thank you email to that new attended persons, I will send it to everybody as well as at the same time. So what I have done is I created a tick box saying that, okay, now I have sent the thank you email after the event, and I just tick that checkbox, and I have a process that updates all the attendance statuses of the attended to attended received thank you email. And I also pulled the timestamp of what time that it was sent. But that is a functionality that a process that I created myself, and I want to decrease them as to not have so many processes for myself.
And you
Did
do
you
not,
understand what I mean?
I think I understand. We are storing that as an email on the attendee record.
Yeah,
So you want the next step is having that time, not using that related record, but having that on the attendee.
yeah, the time for of when it was sent.
The only issue with that I can see when you're sending multiple emails, that value would get overridden.
Exactly. So it should also have a field saying that, okay, which field do you want to populate with this information?
I can
Because
add an enhancement. I can add an enhancement request for internal review for this, just to see if there's any ideas or anything on the roadmap.
yeah,
I will follow up on those 3 items, and I'll shoot you an email when I have more information.
yeah, sure.
Awesome. Thank you guys. And if you have any questions, please feel free to submit a support request via our community. And thanks again. Have a great rest of the week.